On the 5th of December 1986, Game Arts released another one of their cult classic games. That game was Silpheed for the NEC PC 8801. Now just imagine playing this in 1986. It would have been mind-blowing back then. Even now, it's impressive to see what Game Arts could produce on such humble hardware. Silpheed consists of 12 stages, ranging from battles in space to the surface of a moon. Each stage ends with a boss battle before docking back up with the mothership. Once docked, you have the ability to customize your right and left weapons to one of 3 additional styles. I should also mention that while playing the stages, you can also pick up extra power-ups in the shape of bombs and shields. There are also health pickups which replenish your ship's shield, as well as weapon boosters.
This is Command Control Command. Approximate runway. Bye-bye.
Months after the NEC PC 8801 original version of Silpheed was released, we got a port of it to the Fujitsu FM77AV, Japanese home computer. This is an improvement over the original version in a few ways, but one that caught my eye the most was the introduction, which is similar to the Mega CD version, in which that it shows art of the main enemy behind the game. Speed-wise, it's on par with the NEC PC 8801 version. Playability is also on par. The graphics are a little different and may be preferable to some, as with the audio too. It's all down to personal taste.
Welcome to Silpheed. You will like them, you like love.
Later on in 1988, Silpheed was ported to the Apple II GS by Sierra Online. Running this at the stock 2.4 MHz speed is painfully slow on the Apple II GS, but run it on an 8 MHz system and you'll have yourself a much better experience, as you can see here. Unfortunately, playing Silpheed at 8 MHz does tend to glitch the audio a bit, so if you do hear any farting sounds, you know that's just the result of not running the game at stock speed. What we have here is a pretty much perfect port of the original in terms of graphics, and the sound is pretty good too. However, this port is not perfect in gameplay. For some reason, Sierra decided to make the powered up pods more difficult to open, resulting in obtaining powered ups quite tricky, and in return making the game more difficult than it needs to be. In April of 1989, Silpheed finally made its way to the masses. Well, sort of, on the PC running under MS-DOS. This version can look utterly awful or really nice, depending upon your setup. We are playing it in MCGA graphics mode with Roland MT32 audio for the best possible setup. So not only do we have a great looking version of Silpheed, but also a great playing one. The overly strong powered up pods from the Apple II GS are now gone, bringing the game back in line to how it should play. Everything else is pretty much perfect. Could this be the best version of Silpheed out there? Released the same year as the MS-DOS version came the Tandy TRS-80 port. Now this is quite a unique port as it's the only one that uses sprites instead of polygons. It's also the only port that's bloody boring as hell to play. The game is incredibly easy, and to make matters worse, there are noticeable gaps between waves of enemies, leaving you waiting for something to attack. Add in the backgrounds that very rarely change and no music, and you can see why this port is bad.
Emergency. Bogies approaching. All interceptors scramble now. Repeat. Bogies. All interceptors scramble immediately.
Ready for taxi. Burn alarm, check. Release brake. Compass.
The final port of Silpheed was released on the 30th of July in 1993 for Sega's Mega CD. This port is by far the most impressive visually, thanks to its clever use of full motion video backgrounds that were coloured in such a way as to not show any colour dithering. This was very impressive back in the day and fooled many, including members of the industry, into thinking the Mega CD was actually producing the 3D backgrounds. But don't be fooled into thinking that the backgrounds are not interactive, because they are. Many elements feature damaged geometry, which can damage your ship should you run into them. There's also a lot of very impressive for its time polygon interaction, allowing the backgrounds elements to actually be destroyed in some cases. Not only is the Mega CD version impressive to look at, but it's also been given a boost in gameplay mechanics, thanks to added weapon types and power-ups. The new soundtrack also adds a lot to the game's atmosphere, thanks to its awesome cinema-like score and voiceover. I must point out that the Western version is censored. The Japanese version does contain profanities that were removed from the Western release. all those versions of Silpheed running side by side.